This is Top Accurate Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Washington's top general said the crash of a US surveillance drone after being intercepted by Russian jets showed Moscow's increasingly aggressive behavior, while Russia warned Washington that flying drones near Crimea risked escalation. A day after the US drone went down over the Black Sea, defense ministers and military chiefs from the US and Russia held rare telephone conversations on Wednesday, with relations at their lowest point in decades over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Moscow's defense minister Sergei Shoigu told his US counterpart Lloyd Austin that American drone flight by Crimea's coast were provocative in nature and could lead to an escalation in the Black Sea zone. A ministry statement said, "Crimea is a peninsula that was part of Ukraine until Moscow annexed it by force in 2014. Russia," the statement added, "had no interest in such a development but will in future react in due proportion, and the two countries should act with a maximum degree of responsibility, including by having military lines of communication in a crisis." Austin declined to offer any details of the call, including whether he criticized the Russian intercept. Israeli protesters have pressed ahead with demonstrations against a plan by the far-right government to weaken the independence of the judiciary, pushing back against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after he rejected a compromise proposal from President Isaac Herzog that was meant to diffuse the crisis. Protesters in Jerusalem on Thursday drew a red streak on the streets leading to the country's Supreme Court, and a small flotilla of boats was blocking the shipping lane off the coast of the northern city of Haifa. Netanyahu, however, appears to be digging in and said Herzog's plan would only perpetuate the existing situation. The drive by Netanyahu's government to enact sweeping changes to Israel's courts has sparked domestic uproar and alarm among the country's Western allies. If the initial proposal passes, it would mean greater government sway in selecting judges and limit the power of the Supreme Court to strike down legislation. One major point of contention in the planned overhaul is an amendment to the way in which judges are selected. Justice Minister Yariv Levin has said the coalition's proposed measures would change the way judges are appointed by giving the Knesset more oversight and the government more power on the committee which selects them. The Pakistani High Court has ordered the police to postpone an operation to arrest Imran Khan to Friday, diffusing a surge in violence that saw protesters of the former Prime Minister fighting pitched battles with security forces. Khan's aide, Fawad Chowdhury, on Thursday said the Lahore High Court extended an order to halt the police operation for another day. State Information Minister Amir Mir confirmed the court order. The court also ordered Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI party to not hold its planned election rally in Lahore on Sunday, when the final match of the continuing Pakistan Super League PSL 2020 cricket tournament will be played in the city. On Tuesday and Wednesday, dozens of Khan's supporters, armed with batons and slingshots, barricaded his home to prevent security forces from arresting him for failing to show up in court over a case in which he is charged with illegally selling state gifts given to him while he was Prime Minister. Khan denies the charges. The court-ordered attempt to arrest Khan, which began on Tuesday, triggered clashes between his supporters and security forces in his Lahore neighborhood, raising fears about the political stability in nuclear-armed Pakistan as it faces an economic crisis. The violence, in which protesters torched police vehicles, a water cannon truck and scores of cars and motorcycles, and hurled petrol bombs at security forces, firing tear gas and rubber bullets, subsided after the High Court halted the police operation on Wednesday. Japan and South Korea agreed to drop an almost 4-year-old trade dispute on high-tech materials on Thursday, an emphatic sign they aim to rebuild a relationship strained by history and work together against deepening security threats. The announcement came during Yoon Suk-yeol's visit to Japan on Thursday, the first for a South Korean president in 12 years, as the two neighbors look for common ground in the face of frequent North Korean missile launches. Japan will remove curbs on its exports to South Korea of critical materials for smartphone displays and chips, while Seoul will drop a World Trade Organization (WTO) complaint against Tokyo. South Korea's trade ministry said Tokyo imposed the curbs in 2019 as tensions over a decades-old row with Seoul deepened. Thus, this announcement is likely to be seen as a sign of Yoon and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's desire to present a united front against growing regional tension and cooperate on supply chains. In doing so, they look to leave behind years of animosity sparked by Japan's 1910-1945 occupation of the Korean Peninsula. The urgency of regional security and the threat posed by North Korea were underscored in the hours before Yoon's arrival, when the North fired a long-range ballistic missile that landed in the sea between the Korean Peninsula and Japan. That is the size of top accurate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday!